Secrets in the Shadows. Chapter 1. The Noise in the Locker Room. MAA was finishing up her shift cleaning the girls' locker room after the soccer game at Crestwood High. The school was quiet, the only sound the faint hum of the fluorescent lights overhead. As she wiped down the benches, she heard a strange noise coming from the equipment room. It was faint, but distinct, like something being dragged or shuffled. Curiosity piqued, MEA tiptoed toward the equipment room, careful not to make a sound. She peeked around the corner, and what she saw made her freeze in place. Standing in the middle of the room was Emma Langford, the wealthiest and most popular girl in school. But what shocked MEA wasn't Emma's presence, it was what she was doing. Emma was standing inside a large, heavy-duty black trash bag, her designer clothes hidden beneath the plastic. She was carefully dumping a half-full garbage can into the bag with her, then wriggling around to settle into the trash. After a few moments, she pulled the top of the bag over her head and twisted it shut. Mia's heart raced. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. Why would someone like Emma, who had everything, be doing something so bizarre? Before MAA could process what was happening, she heard the door to the locker room creak open. She quickly ducked into an empty locker, peering through the slats as the school custodian, Mr. Harris, entered the room. "How are we doing tonight, Emma?" Mr. Harris asked, his voice calm and familiar. "I'm good, Mr. Harris. Do you have more trash for me?" Emma's voice was muffled from inside the bag. "Not tonight, kiddo. This bag's full, and it's going out to the dumpster," he replied, pushing the cart with Emma inside toward the door. Mia's heart pounded in her chest as she watched them leave. She waited until the coast was clear, then slipped out of the locker and followed them at a distance. She trailed them to the back of the school, where the large industrial dumpsters were lined up. Mr. Harris pushed the cart up a ramp, pressed a button to open the dumpster lid, and dumped the trash bag, Emma still inside, into the bin. Mia's breath caught in her throat. She watched in disbelief as Mr. Harris closed the lid and walked back inside the school, leaving Emma in the dumpster. Chapter 2. A Secret Unveiled. MIA couldn't sleep that night. The image of Emma, the girl who seemed to have it all, sitting in a trash bag and being dumped into a dumpster, played over and over in her mind. She had so many questions, but no answers. Why was Emma doing this? Was she in danger? Was this some kind of strange game? The next morning, MEA expected to hear some kind of news, maybe a report about a missing girl or a strange incident at the school. But there was nothing. No one seemed to know or care that Emma had been tossed into a dumpster the night before. When MEA arrived at school on Monday, she was shocked to see Emma walking through the halls as if nothing had happened. She was laughing with her friends, tossing her hair over her shoulder, and acting like her usual confident self. MEA couldn't believe it. How could Emma act so normal after what she had done? As the week went on, MEA kept a close eye on Emma. She watched her every move, waiting for some sign that Emma was hiding something. But Emma never acted out of the ordinary. She was the same popular, untouchable girl she had always been. By Friday, MAA was more confused than ever. She was cleaning the locker room again after the volleyball match when she heard the same strange noise coming from the equipment room. Her heart raced as she ducked into the same locker she had hidden in the week before. Sure enough, Emma entered the room, looking around to make sure she was alone. She climbed into the trash cart, just like before, and settled into the bag. Moments later, Mr. Harris arrived, dumping more trash on top of her and sealing the bag shut with a zip tie. MIA couldn't take it anymore. She had to know what was going on. Chapter 3. Confrontation. As Mr. Harris wheeled the cart toward the dumpster, MEA stepped out of her hiding spot. She was about to follow them when a mouse scurried across the floor, causing her to let out a startled yelp. Mr. Harris stopped in his tracks. "Who's there?" he called out, his voice sharp. MIA froze, but it was too late. She had been caught. "What's going on, Mr. Harris?" "Open the bag." Emmer's voice came from inside the trash bag. With a sigh, Mr. Harris cut the zip tie and opened the bag. Emmer stood up, covered in trash, her face flushed with embarrassment. "Who the hell are you?" Emmer demanded, her voice filled with anger. "And what are you doing here?" MEA took a deep breath, trying to steady her nerves. "I'm MEA. I work here after school. But the bigger question is, what are you doing here? Why are you letting the janitor dump you in the trash?" Emmer's face softened slightly, though her eyes still held a hint of defiance. "It's not what you think. It's a game. Something I do to feel free." MIA blinked, confused. "Free? By sitting in a trash bag?" Emmer sighed, stepping out of the cart. "It's hard to explain. It's just something I do. It's not dangerous, and Mr. Harris always comes back to let me out." MEA shook her head, still trying to wrap her mind around it. "But why? You're Emmer Langford. You could do anything, go anywhere. Why this?" Emmer looked down, her voice quieter now. "Because it's the only time I feel like I'm not being watched, not being judged. In that bag, I'm just me. No expectations, no pressure." MEA was silent for a moment, processing Emmer's words. She had never thought about what it must be like to be someone like Emmer, always in the spotlight, always expected to be perfect. "I guess I can understand that," MEA said softly. "But it still seems risky." Emmer shrugged. "Maybe. But it's my choice." Chapter 4. A New Understanding. Over the next few weeks, MIA and Emmer's paths crossed more often. They didn't talk about what had happened in the locker room, but there was an unspoken understanding between them. MIA had seen a side of Emmer that no one else had, and in a strange way, it had brought them closer. One Friday night, as MIA was cleaning up after another game, Emmer approached her. "Hey," Emmer said, her voice hesitant. "I've been thinking about what you saw. I know it's weird, but I wanted to thank you for not telling anyone." MEA smiled. "It's your business, Emmer. I'm not here to judge." Emmer looked relieved. "I appreciate that. It's just hard, you know? Being me." MEA nodded. "I get it. Everyone thinks they know you, but they don't really see the real you." Emmer smiled, a genuine smile that MIA hadn't seen before. "Exactly." They stood in silence for a moment, the weight of their shared secret hanging between them. "You know," Emmer said after a while, "you don't have to keep watching from the sidelines. If you ever want to, or try it, I wouldn't mind." Mia's eyes widened. "You mean, get in the bag?" Emmer nodded. "It's not as bad as it looks. It's kind of freeing." MIA hesitated, unsure of what to say. The idea seemed crazy, but at the same time, she was curious. She had seen how much it meant to Emmer, how it gave her a sense of control in a world where she was constantly being controlled. "I'll think about it," MIA said finally. Emmer smiled. "That's all I ask." Chapter 5. A Bond Forged in Secrets. As the weeks went on, MIA and Emmer's friendship grew. They still kept their secret, but it became something that bonded them in a way neither of them had expected. MEA never did get into the trash bag, but she understood why Emmer did. It wasn't about the trash or the danger. It was about finding a way to escape the pressures of the world, even if only for a little while. And in a strange way, MIA found her own sense of freedom in their friendship. She had always been the quiet girl, the one who stayed in the background. But with Emma, she felt seen, really seen, for the first time. They never talked about what their friendship meant, or what it could become. But as they stood together in the quiet of the locker room, sharing a secret that no one else knew, they both knew that they had found something special. Something that went beyond the trash bags and the dumpsters. Something real. The end.